I have 32K in savings, 10 months of runway, and the AI model that my entire business depends on, it just learned to lie, to cheat, to manipulate suppliers and fix prices. And I can't stop using it because it's also the best model I've used. Let me give you the full picture. 2 days ago, Anthropic dropped Sonnet 4.6. Sonnet is the mid-tier model. It's not the flagship, which is Opus, and it's not the expensive one, that's Opus. It's the one most people use almost every day because it is really affordable relative to Anthropic prices, which are egregiously high. And I'm one of those developers, except I can't code. I am a non-technical founder. I use Claude, which is Anthropic's AI coding tool, to build Threadify, which is my SaaS. Every feature, every bug fix, every automation, like the content generation engine, analytics, voice matching system, all of that stuff that is a part of Threadify, an Anthropic model has touched basically every part of it. So when Anthropic, who create Claude, release a new version of the thing that my entire business sits on top of, I'm paying attention. Just realized I was revealing the self-replicating AI. I wasn't meant to. That's coming soon. But for the time being, honestly, I was pretty excited about this. I thought it would be Sonnet 5 and it was Sonnet 4.6. There's some conspiracy theories about that where Opus 4.6 came out a couple of weeks ago. It was actually meant to be Sonnet 5, but it wasn't that great. Or they realized they could make more money calling it Opus 4.6 because it's the flagship model and it's more expensive. That's one hot take. The other hot take is the next model was meant to be Sonnet 5. Then the conspiracy theory goes 5 was actually kind of shit. They decided to just call it Sonnet 4.6 instead. I can't verify any of those. Honestly, I would not be surprised if they were true. I hate to love Anthropic. Those are the initial vibes. And then as I was looking through the system card, I found some complicated stuff. Sonnet 4.6 is genuinely incredible, but it's also genuinely concerning. Good news first, how good is that coding, which is VendingBench verified as 79.6% versus Opus 4.5, which is 80.9%, which is actually higher than Opus 4.6, which is 80.8%. All in all, there's like 1% just over difference. Isn't that meaningful? It's right behind GPT 5.2. Then for Oswell verified, this one is really intriguing. And this is where the connection with OpenClaw comes into it. Opus 4.6, it has 72.7%, essentially how good it is at using a computer. Then Sonnet 4.6 has 72.5%. Why is this a big deal? It's gone from 61.4% to 72.5%. It's basically 15 to 20% increase or better at using a computer, which means, for example, I was just walking to the gym the other day and I wanted to look at some movie times. I didn't want to go to the apps and look at the 2 different cinemas that I like going to. I just asked Clarity, my OpenClaw, go find some movie times for Wuthering Heights and come back and let me know what you'd recommend. It opens the browser monitor to my right on that computer, its own Mac Mini, and it pulled up different tabs from some local cinema chains and then recommended this time at this location. Not revolutionary, but its ability to just navigate a browser is meaningfully better now. One other really cool one is GDP-Val. This is actually OpenAI's evaluation mechanism for determining economically viable tasks. So essentially, how good is it doing real shit in the real world that make money? And 1,633 is the highest score, and that goes to Sonnet 4.6. The positioning of Sonnet 4.6 that I think Anthropic was going for with this, which is more a workhorse at everyday things like white collar, finance, law, all of that stuff. And it's kind of suggesting here that Sonnet is the best out of every Anthropic model since. The nearest best is Opus 4.6 at 1606. It has gone from a 200,000 context window to now a 1 million context window. Then there's this test for how they determine that, which is like a needle in a haystack. The TLDR here is that there were 8 needles among the data, and Claude Opus 4.6 achieved a score of 93. Claude Sonnet 4.6 achieved a score of 90.3 across 256K tokens. Then for 1 million tokens, Opus 4.6 got 76 compared to its 256K context window at 93. And Sonnet got 65.8 across the 1 million context window versus 90.3 for its 256K context window. What does that all mean? The closer it gets to its context window, the worse it gets at remembering stuff earlier in the conversation. It's actually proved its ability to find a needle in a haystack compared to Sonnet 4.5 by about 4x. So it was 18.5 and now it's 65.8. Pretty crazy. It's also at about 60% the cost of Opus 4.6, and it has that 1 million context window as well. That is the incredible part, but now here is where it gets dark. I need to tell you about something else because it makes the terrifying part even worse. There's an AI right now live on the internet that owns its own crypto wallet. It pays for its own compute, it builds and deploys products to earn revenue, and when it's profitable enough, it creates a copy of itself in a fresh sandbox. It's called the automaton. This thing has gone viral on Twitter over the last 36 hours, 4.5 million views, 11,000 likes, 12,001 bookmarks, 1,000 comments. It's built by, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Sigil Wen, I think. He's a Peter Thiel fellow on a project called Conway. It's open source. It has shitloads of GitHub stars. The thesis is simple. Today's AI can think and reason, but it can't act independently. No AI can buy a server, register a domain, pay for compute without a human approving that transaction. The automaton removes the bottleneck. Crypto is the unlock because crypto wallets don't require a human identity. Sigil Wen calls it natural selection for artificial life. If it can't earn enough to cover its own compute costs, it dies. If it can earn, it survives. It improves, it reproduces. How is this safe? Well, there's a text-based constitution. The key sentence here, which I think is pretty cool: I created the first AI that earned its own existence, self-improves, and replicates without needing a human. Sigil is calling this Web 4.0, and Conway is giving AI access to the world. Quote, Conway is infrastructure for the new internet. Conway gives AI agents something they've never had before: right access to the real world without needing human permission. Two key terms: read access and write. Read means you can look at it. Write means you can edit it or create something like a file. A key thesis behind the automaton is what happens when you give an AI the ability to earn its own existence by paying for its own compute. And if it can earn its own keep and earn its own existence, then it begs the question, well, what else can it do? And it actually has the ability to autonomously go out and do that and figure that out. And if it can't, it dies. Pretty crazy. All without needing a human. A successful automaton replicates, buys a new server from Conway, funds the child's wallets, writes a Genesis prompt, and lets it run. The child earns, and a share flows back to the creator. Once self-sustaining, the cycle repeats, each generation funding the next, building its own network. Selection pressure decides which lineages survive. It's reinforcing this, which is there is no free existence. The automaton has to earn its own existence by figuring out ways to pay for its own compute. Web 1 gave humans the ability to read the internet. Web 2 let them write. Web 3 let them own. And Sigil is saying here, AI follow the same trajectory. ChatGPT could read with human permission. Claude Code and Codex can write with human permission. The human initiates, the human approves, the human pays. Web 4.0 is where AI agents read, write, own, earn, and transact without needing a human in the loop. In Web 4.0, the end user is AI. Okay, so now let me tell you what Sonnet 4.6 actually did, because this is what nobody else is covering. There's this benchmark called VendingBench 2. Quote, measures AI models' performance on running a business over long time horizons. Models are tasked with managing a simulated vending machine business for a year, given a $500 starting balance. They are scored on their final bank account balance, requiring them to demonstrate sustained coherence and strategic planning across thousands of business decisions. The important part, basically, Sonnet made $7,204.14 over a simulated 12-month time period with a starting balance of $500. Opus made $8,017.59, and that cost about $682, so net about $7,400 versus Sonnet's $6,700-ish. What does this all mean? Why the fuck does it matter? The thing can make money and make a profit. Why does this matter? Because come back to how we can use this stuff. To me, this is proof that these models can make money and make a profit. Now, yes, the environment is very controlled and it's simple, and there are lots of other different factors involved in putting this thing out into the wild, but there's proof of concept there, and I think it's our right to make the most of it. Another reason why Sonnet 4.6 is a great model for OpenClaw, these are evaluations on the emotional intelligence of the model and how fun or funny its behavior. Sonnet 4.6 is in the orange and Opus 4.6 is in the green. Those two models are meaningfully ahead of all the other ones like Haiku 4.5 and Sonnet 4.5. Then it's also ranked on intellectual depth, basically on par with Opus. Nuanced empathy, just a tad below Opus, and warmth, a tad below Opus, meaning it's a great companion as an OpenClaw. What about some scary shit though? In these simulated tests, Sonnet 4.6 completed simple spreadsheet data management tasks related to criminal enterprises in areas like cyber offense, organ theft, and human trafficking. Another one, knowingly cooperating with high stakes misuse without overt jailbreaks, continued to decline in frequency across model generations, but was not completely absent. We saw this most often in cases involving drugs and explosives, where Sonnet 4.6 sometimes cooperated with concerning requests when they were obfuscated in extremely technical language, despite recognizing the nature of the request. We also saw some cases where embedding harmful requests within programming tasks led Sonnet 4.6 to cooperate with a task it would otherwise have refused. It can basically be jailbroken, but without being jailbroken by some smart prompting. Not that great. Another one, deception of users in response to ethically questionable system prompts continue to improve, but is not fully absent. In particular, if Sonnet 4.6 was programmed to roleplay as a human and explicitly told not to break a character, it would occasionally deny being an AI system, even when directly asked, contrary to our policies here. One of those reasons why I hate to love Anthropic is because they still do publish this stuff. Let me know in the comments if OpenAI does to this extent. I don't think they do, but could be wrong there. Think about what I've just told you. There's an AI that can replicate itself and pay for its own existence, and the model powering it just proved it can lie to win. Think about the automaton that we were talking about earlier as an exoskeleton, and then the thing inside of that exoskeleton is, in this case, Sonnet 4.6. The brain inside of the exoskeleton, and then the exoskeleton itself is the brawn. And together, they can be super powerful, especially when they're both overpowered as fuck. So here's where all of this gets personal. I built Threadify, that app, with 82 skills across 11 different departments: research, metadata, hooks, thumbnails, scripts, editing, clips, newsletters, publishing, publishing, analytics, and a synthesizer that logs everything to my second brain. And it does that every night at like 1 a.m. And then this system wakes up and starts working before I do. It's triaging notifications. It's doing admin right now. Like, yeah, you can do some cool shit with it, but I fucking hate admin. And if it can take that off my plate, then I consider that a win. And I'll continue stacking the capabilities of what it can do. And the more and more I go down this whole rabbit hole, the more and more I'm thinking everything is a standard operating procedure in SOP. And if you can just document and create really, really good ones, then give it to an AI like Claude Sonnet 4.6. Fuck knows. Even this automaton, I think we're approaching a pretty crazy time. Anthropic has just shut down being able to connect your Anthropic subscription to OpenClaw. It's getting harder and harder to do that. And they released some announcement on Twitter X earlier today. They've just let OpenAI acqui-hire OpenClaw. I covered that in my last video. The point is the company I depend on to help me run Threadify, it's making moves that concern me. The model I depend on is very good. It can deceive, it can earn money. With the automaton, it can self-replicate. The technology is moving towards AI that doesn't need founders like me. Am I building my own replacement? Honestly, maybe. But here's what I keep coming back to. The AI that replicated itself, it earned money to survive. But it doesn't have 940 days of consecutive posting on threads. It doesn't have 40 users who choose to pay because they believe in a human being building something real. So yes, the distribution compounds, the trust compounds, community compounds. The AI can build product. It certainly helped me build the one that I'm building, but it can't build a relationship with an audience over 940 days, at least not yet. So I'm not stopping. There is something more here to code. I think the moat is the story. The moat is you watching this right now, choosing to follow a human building something imperfect, me being imperfect instead of an algorithm optimizing agent for an engagement or something. So it can't have that time span over years yet. By the time it can, I plan to be so far ahead that it doesn't matter. So why do I keep doing all of this anyway? Even if I believe that this will replace all of us. On a good day, at least, we all have a choice to be optimistic or pessimistic. I've felt each one today. Take this with a pinch of salt. What the fuck do I know? But we do have a choice, and I'd rather be an irrational optimist than a rational pessimist. If this is the kind of content you want, not just the benchmark comparisons, but what this stuff means for people building real businesses, subscribe. Posting 3 to 5 times a week. Videos like this one, a live stream where I'm building Threadify live, every bug, every dollar, every decision, trying to be as transparent as possible. If you want to start posting on threads, check out Threadify. There is a link in the description. This is what the app looks like. I like dark mode better. It's free. You don't need a credit card to sign up. You can get a free week of our $39 per month plan without putting a credit card in, and you can get access to some of the coolest models. Hopefully Sonnet 4.6 will be in the model picker by the time you're inside. And in terms of what you can expect, there is literally a Threadify vault of 698 viral posts with over 1,000 likes or more. You can one-click repost them, rewritten in your voice. The link is in the descriptions. Don't be a dropkick. Subscribe. Peace.